Here.
Mr. Farley.
Here.
Mr. Green.
Here.
Dr. Houghton.
Here.
Ms. Ray.
Here.
Sister Rich.
Here.
Mary Goodwin.
Here.
You have four.
Have the invocation and then followed by the pledge of allegiance.
Okay, y'all, so tonight I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to share a poem that I read a year ago as the pandemic was becoming our new reality. Personally, for me, it's a reminder of how immediate our lives were changed. It's also a reminder that we're still healing, and hopefully with this healing, we have a newfound gratitude and understanding of the importance of recovering at a pace that will not wreck how far we have come. So here's the poem. It's called In the Time of Pandemic, written by Kitty O'Meara. And the people stayed home, and they listened, and read books, and rested, and exercised, and made art, and played games, and learned new ways of being, and were still. And they listened more deeply. Some meditated, some prayed, some danced. Some met their shadows, and the people began to think differently. And the people healed. And in the absence of people living in ignorant, dangerous, and heartless ways, the earth began to heal. And when the danger passed and the people joined together again, they grieved their losses and made new choices and dreamed new images and created new ways to live and heal the earth fully as they had been healed. Thank you.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor's comments tonight. I have a lot to say. I know the governor's eased up on a lot of things. Still ask everybody to take precautions, keep yourself safe, family safe. You never know when something's going to come up. I got an email tonight before I got here that if you was in this place in the last week, 2 of the employees have come down sick. One's got put in the hospital, I said last evening on a ventilator. So it's like you never know, So just, as your mama said, wash your hands and wear your mask. I guess that's the best thing you can do, just to protect yourself and you and your loved ones. So. The other thing was, it is March. It is coming up on a party day that everybody wants to go out and party. If you're going to participate in parties on St. Patrick's Day or any day thereafter, celebrating St. Patrick's Day, do it responsibly. Try to stay out of too big of crowds. Enjoy yourself as much as possible that you can do safely. That's all I got to say about that. So, Mr. Lutz, you're up first for staff report. Hello.
This is really just a kind of a heads up for Mayor and Council about a trend where I'm looking to be going over in my temp labor category, which is when we call it temp labor, it's actually the labor used through a temp agency, not city employees. Essentially, it's what happened this year. I've got it in the memo, but basically between our increased mission, pandemic, and a lot of personnel being down and out for quite some time, both COVID-related, even some non-COVID related medical, extended medical leaves, I had to pick up more temp labor to cover those missing bodies at different times. The way it's trending, it looks like I'll be about 15K over in that line item, but it will not be over overall, based on the savings and another portion of the contracts, and then the salaries that we saved during quarter 1 and anticipated salary saving in quarter 2 through 4. Essentially, I'm not asking for more money, just letting you guys know that it's going to be an overage in this line.
You're in trouble. You've gotten out easy during budget season. Let's just wait.
Do you have any specific questions related? I tried to spell it out as clear as
Oh no.
These are the guys that sling barricades all over the city.
That's,
He's not gonna be a total.
you never have these issues, man.
Overall, he could be under, so.
Yeah. I was actually surprised to see him even talking about it. I was like, when I saw him, like, you're gonna be fine. What are you
Well, it's
doing?
good
What
for
are you doing?
our finance director's credit. When I noticed it was getting ready to happen, we talked about it and said, you know, you really need to at least let you all know what's happening. So,
Yeah, at least-
Wow.
Yeah, you better talk, man.
That way we don't hold it against him.
yeah,
Let him know.
He wants to keep his gold coins this year.
Yeah. His gold stars. But he's up next, so we'll see how much trouble he's in.
See what day he's in trouble. We know he's in trouble.
Thanks, appreciate it.
I can grab
And I
it.
will say those guys that you hired temporarily have kind of fell right in and done a good job along with the rest of the guys, so.
Thanks.
It's hard to tell one from the other anymore these days.
You're all trying to get a full-time position, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about as far as work ethics, so.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the next staff presentation is myself talking about the FY22 budget timeline. Exciting times are upon us yet again. See the excitement that gleam in everybody's
But,
Oh,
eyes.
but
yeah.
you will notice how small he makes it.
Yes,
It's hard
nice
to
and
read.
tiny.
I'm assuming we'll get an email with all these. We can just add them to our calendars.
That being said, the calendar that was distributed to you, we need to make a couple of tweaks at the end of that calendar, if you will indulge me a second. Beginning on that Wednesday, May 5th, that second council work session proposal would be to move that to Monday, May the 5th, or May the 10th, excuse me, May the 10th, Monday, May the 10th. And then that would carry us to the next line, which would take us to the 14th of May for the advertisement. And then we push down to the next line, which would push us a week later, which would be May the 21st for the budget ordinance to municipal clerk, which is all this kind of staff, and then that would move us to June 8th for the final council meeting, or basically the first council budget meeting, first reading would be that council session, June the 8th, which is already scheduled regular session. And then we would have a special one on June the 22nd as our final council meeting for the second reading.
You got all this time, and you still have maybe we still have to have a special meeting.
We still gotta have a
Can't get it.
second meeting because it's pretty rapid succession, because you only have the one meeting in early May and then one.
I got you.
meeting. So we typically have just
Hey.
one special meeting.
That's why we get the big bucks.
He can't fight it up with Sam. That's not what he don't wanna say it that way, but that's what happened to him.
Yeah, that's the schedule fell in such a way that my quarterly battle assembly was occurring in that May week.
Okay.
Push everything to the right a little bit. The mayor was something.
All right.
That happens. Hopefully that meets with everybody's schedule.
We couldn't do it June the 8th and then June the 15th.
June 15th.
Well, I guess let's see how much we have to change. If we don't have to change a whole lot, we can do it like the next Tuesday and just be done with it. I mean, we'll see it when we get there.
Because we'll have a public hearing at the first reading, right? We do a public hearing, yeah. So as long as nobody says anything and we're not changing a whole lot, it should be relatively quick.
So just keep that in mind. So it just gets it through.
So now everybody's got those dates on their schedule and they'll know when to expect what. and
I'm
where to be.
sure y'all send us out a new set of dates.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We just have to double check, make sure the dates they sent us are correct.
Yes.
Okay. So, back to Ms. Faith on the staff reports. This mean old lady.
Yeah. I see a lot of me. Okay, so this was just kind of an FYI, an explanation for what you guys will hopefully remand to Planning Commission later this meeting. So Bert's had a lot of ongoing unpermitted work, and they were caught in violation of our zoning ordinance and probably a little bit of our building ordinance too. So kind of told them what their options were. They basically settled on trying to rezone the adjacent property at 204 East Ashley. So it's the vacant lot that's next to them. They also own that lot. So the idea is right now it's residential 2-family. It would be rezoned to downtown commercial. cause right now they have a 15-foot setback encroachment with, an extension of a laundry room, and they wanna do some permanent coolers and freezers on that patio that they have back there. So our zoning requires, a 15-foot setback. They would then, abandon that property line and basically just extend that property into an L. They're also mitigating their lot coverage by turning all of their parking into pervious. So they'll break up all that asphalt that's right there on Ashley, and put it into gravel. So that's exciting from a drainage standpoint. And this will just need to be remanded to planning commission, and we'll see what their arguments are next month, if that is cool with you guys. So just didn't want you guys to be, thrown by that. If you have any questions, we can chat about it now.
Like when you get back to the pedestrian walkway that cuts in front of,
Other side.
It jumps to the other side right before it gets to Burke's.
Let's
So
work on the
it'll
other
cut in front
side.
of Chico Feo and then jump to the other side of the road and go down. I think that's correct, right, Eric?
It won't affect the front, the outside side of the won't be affected at all.
runs in front of the liquor store, doesn't it?
Right, it goes down that section.
The work's being done on the other side,
But that's not the area.
the other side of Burt's.
Yeah, okay.
Because that lot where they have the parking, yeah, it's not on that side, it's on the other side that we're going. I would imagine, I figured, since that's the lot they wanna change. Sneaky.
And you said they
devils.
were gonna use gravel,
I
For
believe
parking?
so.
be loose gravel, or will it be solid gravel, pervious?
They pulled a permit,
Cause if you got gravel,
Concrete
that gravel's gonna go all over
to bust it up.
They'll
everywhere.
probably pack down.
Surface
Yeah,
amount.
might, but I don't know. A lot of people coming in and out of there, and you have to go fast when you back up.
Because Mr. Grooms has a good point, that gravel will migrate everywhere if it's just loose gravel.
I don't think you can hear me, it's not loose gravel.
Okay.
It's a pervious,
Okay,
it's either
pervious
cement or asphalt.
cement, okay, that's cool.
That's what he was asking.
That's what I was clearing, yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay,
didn't look at the permit.
I'm good with that. That's cool stuff.
Yeah. Expensive.
Any other questions?
A-okay.
Holly Jolly. The person that tries to make everyone happy.
Hello, everyone, including your grandmother. The message on the boat said my birthday was that Saturday, and my kids were gonna go and paint the boat, and I knew that Miss Flo's message was up there. I'm like, no,
I'm
you
already,
can't do that.
yeah, that would've made my weekend even worse. I can hear that one now.
Hello, everyone. Great poem, Amy. That's a great reminder of what we've all been through, and in preparation for recreation, this recreation season coming up, and what I'm here about right now, you know, it does mean, and with the season right now, more people out. We have this limited court space down at Pirates Cove with our tennis courts, basketball courts, and pickleball, and made attempts at a few recreation seasons during COVID. Don't know, can't really gauge how successful that was just based on COVID, and so we're gonna try again for 2021, and this time try to have a spring, summer, fall, winter approach, so I don't have to keep coming back to you guys requesting a schedule. And so this schedule that I have, it was a little more complicated this time just because of introducing our recreation programs last year. We noticed an increase in the court's use, and had a need to examine that. And it was through our programming, it was through open play, it was through a recreation study, and all that information was very helpful for me to come to you with this schedule today. And I hope that you can, the color coding, I think, might have confused some people just because the few colors may look similar. But this is just a weak glance that it would look like pretty much spring, summer. It may be tweaked a little bit in fall and winter, which I would come to you about, but I just wanted to present this to you and ask if you had any questions and give input.
You wanna mention the app that
Yes,
Court
so,
scheduling.
efforts in reviewing how our courts are being used with, basketball, tennis, and pickleball, programming, and then open play, it's evident that there needs to be some type of a court management system. There are a variety of ways of doing that, and I don't think we're at a place to hire someone or have me become the person who schedules the courts from dawn to dusk. Maybe it'll be that way sometime in the future, but right now, it seems that a court app, a court management app would be useful. I've called to other cities, I've reached out to other coaches to find out how they manage their courts, and most of other courts have many courts that they manage, and so they have someone that does that for them. We just have, our limited court space, and I think that a court app, specifically Court Reserve, has been one I've narrowed it down to, I think would be very helpful in managing this. It gives the opportunity to block off what city-sponsored programming there is, and then it also allows people to sign up, name, number, email, they go in, they can see the schedule, they book the court based on what rules I set up behind the scenes, and through, and what hours we have. And then I can also go behind the scenes and have reporting features. I can schedule, if I wanted to, this app even gives the ability to be that recreation person that can schedule and accept payments for recreation if we got to that point. It also can manage all 4 courts. There's a lot of different apps out there that do a lot of different things. This app seemed to capture all of it for a minimal price, in my opinion, at $50 a month, which I will need to budget for in the future, yes, but I think that the app would be a great way to introduce some type of court management system other than staff having to manage it.
I have a few questions. There are actually 3. Are any of these defined as leagues? As far as, do we know, are they residents, are they leagues? Like, could you just tell me a little more about the composition?
So right now, the basketball and tennis are just considered city contractors. That's what city council approved in 2019 to offer. And so it's just coaches coming and offering lessons that they charge for.
Okay.
Pickleball was just sort of formed as a group that plays all the time. They formed a name, and so
Okay, so
to answer your question, no.
So this could be a resource not just to Folly Beach, but our neighbors. That's all I wanted to know. Okay.
Yeah.
Secondly, transition time. When you go back to back, 10 to 10, without a 15-minute transition, oftentimes what I have learned, then they overlap. And then that's where sometimes it promotes dialogue, potential problems, maybe conflicts. Are you giving any transition? Some of these are back to back, 10 to 10 is my
They
point.
are, and we've discussed that. I've discussed that with each of these coaches because there has been a problem. Well, I say a problem. There has been that leisure time in between, and we have to decide whether we want that or not. You're done when it's city programming. You're done. You got your 5 minutes to clean up, and you're out of there. That's really what we would like to see with city programming. Open play, I mean, you have the rule of 1 hour.
I'm just saying, human nature, it's better to have less than more. So I've always had like a transition just to help everyone. That's all.
Yes, and that has been discussed. It's just also trying to not book the courts any more than we have to with city-sponsored programming. But yes,
Just a few back-to-backs.
did
Just
you
a
have another
comment.
question?
Anybody else? All right. Thank you for all the hard work.
Yes, sir.
Keep a smile. Because we know you're smiling behind that mask. Okay, so we move on to approval of agenda. Have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a second. We're gonna remove number 9 for future discussion, not tonight. We'll talk about it later, which is park committee update. So if you look at that, change your mind, if you'd like to call the roll.
Mr. Rich,
Yes.
Dr. Houghton,
Yeah.
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Mr. Farley,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
Yes. So a motion to approve the minutes from the February 9th meeting.
So moved.
Have a second? Any discussion, changes?
They look great.
We good. So without objection, we'll just accept them.
They look as good as Billy's Bitmoji.
Got the personal appearances, Mr. DePass, you got him online? There he is. Can't hear you, Marshall. You know, go glitch somewhere.
There we go.
There.
Now?
Yeah,
Okay.
good.
Thanks, sorry about that. I'm here again tonight to ask for the approval of the South Carolina's, Southern South Carolina District of the ESA's surf schedule for 2021. I did go, after the last meeting, I did go to the governor's office and was granted the permission that we were needed. And then I guess Friday or so, a week or so back, they removed that 250 plus person gathering stipulation. I wanted to make something clear. We're really not expecting anything close to 250 until our August event, which is the Governor's Cup. And we're really right around that teetering of even at that cap of people. Our protocols are still in place. We're still going to require everything that we had talked about during the last council meeting. And the only thing that I had on there that was different, we made a mistake on the June date, 17th and 18th. That should be June 19th and 20th. And other than that, I think everything else is the same.
Okay.
I make a motion, we approve Mr. DePass's ESA schedule.
Second. Any discussion? Oh, I got one question. How much did you have to pay the governor to make that announcement there?
Well, I asked him just to give Folly Beach a huge grant, and he sort of gave me a high five out the door. So, no, I don't know.
All right. Call the roll.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Farley,
Yes.
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Rich,
Yes.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Dr. Houghton,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
Yes.
Here.
Thank you very much. Good luck with
Thank
your
you all very much.
contest.
You got it. Y'all have a safe year. Take care.
So up next is Michael Ross from Southeast Finishes, not finishing, finishes.
He is not present.
He's not? No show.
That makes that easy.
Okay. Ryan Burns, Mixed Bag Production.
Hi, everybody. Mayor Goodwin, everybody else, good evening. I am proposing to bring Mixed Bag Productions and the HBO program called The Righteous Gemstones to the Lighthouse Inlet Heritage Reserve for 1 day of filming, including 1 day of prep the day before and 1 day of wrap the day after. These dates, our day of prep would be April 19th, we would film on April 20th, and then we would wrap out on the 21st. Prep includes laying out mud mats from the point where the sand meets the pavement all the way to the beach where the sand is compacted, and we can then roll our carts more easily on that compacted sand. There are overheads that I've shared with the town council and the permitting office. I don't know if you all have those in front of you, but if you do, you will see that when we put them up, you will see that we are proposing our safety and security. I'm working with Sergeant Ortiz to provide public safety officers for all of our presence on the beach. I want to have an officer at the gate, and we'll further move it up to Ortiz to where he wants to have officers on the day to help with our parking and our trucks getting back into the lot. For the trash and recycling, our plan is to have a dumpster on site. It will be an 8-yard dumpster that will contain all of our trash that we will have at the end of the day. It will be delivered the day before, on Monday the 19th. We will use it on the 20th, and then close all the doors, begin these carabiners to keep the animals out of the box, and then it will be picked up on the 21st. During our filming, we will have my team, is the locations department. We will be there on the site with trash grabbers and buckets, following behind our crew, picking up any trash that we create that doesn't make it into bins, and also picking up any trash that we see that was there before we were there. We like to consider, or I personally like to consider myself a steward of the land, and love to leave places in better conditions than when we arrive, when we leave. I like them to be more clean. Let's move on to the next point here on my proposal, the tents, stages, inflatables, and signage. I'm proposing to use our 10x10 pop-up tents for any sun shade that we may need, something to create a wind barrier for our cast members, and to provide rain protection should the weather turn foul. These are, your typical 10x10 pop-ups. Easy Ups is usually the brand we like to use. I will also have directional signs made of corrugated plastic that we will place to direct our traffic to set and to crew parking. In regards to crew parking, we have worked with Jared Glass at Park Folly to secure the 126 spaces at the washout and the 26 spaces at Summer Place to help with our day. These will only be used on the 20th, and we have agreed with him to pay 3 times the normal rate, as these daily maxes at $10 can be turned over twice to 3 times a day. To the next point, let me pull this up. The requested use and requirements for crew parking, as we just discussed. Equipment staging would be on the road leading into, past the gate, leading into the park. All of our wheels on our trucks and everything like that will remain on the pavement. We will not have any wheels other than the carts. That would be anywhere close to the grass. Everything's on the pavement. We were denied access for golf carts, so everything is being pushed by manpower. All years, persons, foot traffic, and seems to be confined to the sand once we are out on the beach. We had originally asked to film closer into the access point, but after our last meeting out there, we pushed it out further towards the point where all of the driftwood and beautiful trees and things are out at the point. So we will be further away from the public access and more confined to that space. The next point is we are asking to be able to park, that was denied, trash. We're going to stay off of the sand dunes. No gear, no people will be anywhere but on the sand. We will not enter the grassy areas. We will not enter the forested areas back there. Everything confined to the sand. We'll have no glass. All of the trash will be picked up. There will be no glass at all to cut people or be damaging to the land or people once we are gone. We are wanting to work with, and I know this is near and dear to Mayor Goodwin's wife, the Turtle Watch. We're aware of the turtles out on the beach, and we want to be able to provide some assistance to help the staff and the turtle watchers after we're gone, to help with this season of turtle hatching and provide some assistance in that way, some sort of compensation, if there's a way possible to do that. I'm also looking at other options and other charities or foundations out there to help the community, perhaps donate to the surfers, whatever the community feels is the best option. and where the compensation could be used for future use. What else do I have here? One catering tent is being proposed to be used. I'm not sure if we will actually need this on the day, but there's property at the very end of the summer place. It's one summer place. They have a volleyball court down there. I'm proposing and working with Alex Hunter at Carolina One Realty to reach out to the owners to see if they might be interested in proposing some compensation to the renter of that property during the dates that we propose to film, to allow us to put up an open-sided tent on their land so that we may feed our crew.
Okay, Mr.
All
Burns,
of the
your
gear,
time.
everything will be gone on the 21st, and hopefully the beach will be a much cleaner space after we're gone.
Mr. Burns, your time's up.
Yes, sir.
Time. Your 5 minutes is up,
yeah.
so.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I said your time was up.
Oh, okay. Any questions?
Okay. So do I have a motion for?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any questions, discussion?
I mean, this looks a lot better than other filming that we've had out here, as far as what they're not doing, what they're protecting, what they're doing afterwards. I was kind of impressed with a set like that. I thought it was going to be a lot more negative impact that we're going to have to look through.
I did have a question. You had said that the CCPRC will support. Do you have anything in writing from them, or did we get anything from the county?
Yes,
There was an
sir.
email in the
Colleen
packet.
John
Okay.
had-
There was one? Okay.
Yeah, they're waiting on us.
Okay, thank you. Well, that's a letter from him. 27 is from Mixed Bag Productions. I'm talking about one from the county parks.
There was an email.
You with me?
I did receive one from,
Okay.
yeah, I have it right here.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Just as long as we have something in writing from them, not just from him. Okay,
I've even spoken to him.
cool.
Porta-john included in the, equipment that will be out there for these 150 people, or?
That's a good question.
Is a porta-john included in the necessary equipment for these,
Yeah.
people you have out there?
We will have what we like to call executive restroom trailers. They're bought in by a stake bed, dropped off, set up. They have their own power on the trailer there. It provides the power, and it has its own water source. All of that will be contained to that unit. I believe we have 2 of them, and they will be dropped off on site in the morning of the 20th, and then removed from site on the evening of the 20th. And there's no pollution, no leaking water, or any human waste.
Mr. Burns, the hose that you're gonna use to spray down the beach, how big is that? Is that a big tank of water, or what is or is it a generator?
I spoke with our special effects coordinator, Heath Hood, on this matter earlier this afternoon. He has described, when we were out there earlier this week, we were kind of discussing his options. He has asked the fire marshal to use their fire boat, and I believe that boat draws water out of the channel and then has the hose attached to it or the spray nozzle.
Yep.
That will then wipe out. Yes.
That's acceptable. And the other thing was you had mentioned painting the graffiti over the trees. Will you be like putting paint on paint, or will you be removing? You said you're going to remove the graffiti. So is it a chemical, or what are you using?
With the new location further out onto the point, we may not need to do anything to the graffiti. If we do, it is a water-based latex paint that they would put over the graffiti to mask it and blend into the natural look and color of the
An artistic way of hiding graffiti.
Any other questions?
Yes. My questions are about parking. When you envision who is parking, are those trucks, cars, I'd like to know a little bit more about what is going on with the exact parking situation.
Yes, the parking at the washout will be vehicles, civilian vehicles, personal cars, trucks, that sort of thing, nothing over 6 wheels. Once we get into the Heritage Preserve past the gate on the road with all the graffiti on it, those will be tractor trailers. I think I have 5 to 6 tractor trailers. Some will be shorty 40s. These are more like the box trucks. I will have cast trailers that kind of look like campers with pop outs for our cast members, including John Goodman, Danny McBride, and our other cast. I have work trucks being stake beds. I have generators, which will supply power should we need, and other small trailers and vehicles.
Okay, so in that overall number, how many are private vehicles?
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble.
I just wanna know private vehicles, because we have surfers and other folks that would come that day, which we would have to communicate with, correct? And, I mean, it's 8 a.m.
I think it's a Tuesday, isn't it?
Yes, this is Tuesday, 20th of April.
Like all, that whole time?
But didn't you say they're paying for all that?
Yeah, they're paying.
Is there an alternative to the private vehicles that frees up some space?
Well, they're paying for them.
And I understand.
Okay.
I just wanna know the division of it, that's all I wanna know.
I believe there's 126 spaces at the washout per Jared, and I would likely take up at least 120, and I would like to use the other 106 so that our bankers can park and safely get our passengers from their vehicles to the Heritage Resort.
Okay.
And then once our vans have transported all of our crew too, they will be coming back and forth throughout the day. And those spaces should become available, but in order to safely provide our crew and get them off the street so that they're not stepping into traffic to get to their cars, I would like to utilize whatever empty spaces I have for vans.
Jared, all the spaces, it looks like on this map, that all the spaces taken are oceanside spaces. Are any parking spaces taken on the north side?
There are certain.
All of them?
Yes, sir.
So all the parking spaces then?
All the marked parts.
Well, washed out in Summer Place Lane.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks.
This is a rain or shine event?
Yes, sir. Rain or shine.
And I heard you mention the use of generators. The generators can, of course, be noisy, this being a bird sanctuary. Is there any way to minimize the noise and fumes that those generators may produce? Different types of equipment?
Referring to the noise of the generators?
Yes.
Our generators are insulated. They are specifically built by our company that is our lighting and generator provider. They are insulated, we call them tow planes. So they're very, very quiet. The low hum of the diesel engine is muffled by, I think it's a 6-inch wall of insulation between the actual motor and the metal exterior of the tow plane. So they're very, very quiet. I mean, homeowners, we park them outside people's houses and have never had a complaint, especially with these new ones that are very, very quiet, very insulated.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, Mr. Pope.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
No.
Mr. Groom?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
No. So it passes. So you work with the guys you've been working with, and they'll keep us appraised of what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. We look forward to working.
Ms. Carson. You're up next.
Hey, it's Miss Payson. Hello?
Yes. So what'd you say?
It's Miss Payson. You have it misspelled on your agenda. There's no R.
No.
Okay,
Right.
I can only go by what they hand me. But we got it right now, so, you're up.
All right, so we're just here. This is my partner Giovanni. We're the managers of the Folly Art Village at Center Street Farmers Market. We're just here to ask permission that you grant exception to the mobile vendor ordinance and allow us to have our art village and farmers market on Wednesday evenings and Sunday during the day at the washout.
Yeah,
Motion to approve. Sorry.
To approve the Folly Art Village.
Second.
any questions, comments?
No, their presentations are pretty good too.
What's the ordinance she's referencing?
She's referencing the ordinance that says how many vendors can be on a private lot.
So the mobile vendor ordinance, the last ruling we got from Aaron Pope last year was that we were only allowed to have 8 mobile vendors because the washout is now considered 2 lots instead of previously when we were 5 lots and we could have 20 vendors. So last year was the first year that we had to come before city council. And we were granted 8 vendors. So to have more than 8 vendors, we have to seek city council approval to have this event on private property.
So how many vendors are you asking for? Because it doesn't say here.
So we have about 50 small businesses that we employ all together, not all at one time. Our spacing has been greatly decreased at the washout due to their increase in outdoor dining. So typical, if we were a full market and depending on the city stipulations, we're about 20 vendors is our full capacity.
So you're asking to go from 8 to 20?
Yes.
That's your request?
I mean, not to 20. I mean, whatever your ordinance is, I mean, we would like to have as many as possible because we do have about 50 small businesses that participate in our market. So we would like to make as much room as possible.
I understand that, but you have to have a request. And our ordinance is telling you 8, according to Mr. Pope, and he knows.
Okay, let's say 30.
So you want to go from 8 to 30?
Yes.
Ooh.
Even now with the state of emergency, you wanna go to 30, or are you asking?
No, last year we abided by all of the city's ordinance related to COVID, and we had the 8 feet between our vendor station. So that only allowed us about 14 vendors at the time. But if that regulation is removed, the 8 feet between vendors, then we can put more vendors in. And again, all of our vendor spaces are 10 by 10, and they are separated by 10 feet without the 8 feet ordinance separating their vendor stations.
So how do you have room for 30 vendors?
Yeah, I don't know.
There's no way.
There is plenty of room. There is plenty of room in the washout parking lot. They have in the back wall itself has 9 parking spots. There are 5 along the center on both sides, so that's an additional 10. 5 by the stage, and then we can run vendors in the middle of both of those because there's more than 8 feet. So there's plenty of room for people to walk around.
A parking space is not 10 feet wide. A typical parking space is.
No, but they're
9 feet?
If
parking spaces are 9 feet. But there's more in where they have parking spots. They have allowed for more than 9 foot per car.
I'll tell you what, if it was, I personally, if we allow 8, you'd be pushing me to get to 16 to double the amount. So that's my personal opinion.
I just need clarity of that exact space, okay? I went and took a look at it. It seemed to me that now there's a wood barrier, okay? And so when you look at it, there's a wood barrier, which in my mind, the parking was behind that. Are you just speaking about from the wood barrier to the front? There's a stage over here. Is that what you're speaking about for the vending?
No, Dr. Houghton, on the days of the art village and the market, the washout closes off their entire parking lot. So we set up on both sides of that wood fence. So we have the back parking lot along with the front parking lot.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I tend to agree with the mayor. 30 is a huge ask. Huge ask. At 20, that was going to be at the top of, well, I mean, anything that I was even thinking about. I'm going to say, especially you're having it twice a week, 30 is a big ask. I don't know how if you want to rephrase that or ask for a different number, that might help people feel better.
I mean, what is the number that the city is comfortable with? We would like the maximum amount that we are allowed, because like I said, we have 50 small businesses. This would be our fourth year in business, and a lot of these people renewed their business license in January.
Well, I
and
understand.
we originally applied.
But you're talking about that many being out there at one time, and I think that's where the headache's coming into. There's a lot of reasons why they're only given so many per lot size, and to go from 8 to 30 is a huge jump. I mean, you're talking about more than triple. That's a lot. That's a big ask. I mean, I think you should go down to the double region, and you'd be a lot better off.
Yeah, because
just with a small market, it's not profitable to any of the vendors, so it's just.
You think it'd be the other way.
You're setting a precedent now that one of these other parking lots come in here and say, well, we can have 10 people, but we want 40.
I'm sorry, Mayor Goodwin, we can't really hear you well.
I said, you're trying to set a precedent for us now that some of these other parking lots could close down their parking lot for the day, where they could have 10 people in their parking lot as a vendor. They will come here and ask for a special variance. We want 40 in that parking lot for a day. You know, when you start talking about 3 times as many or 4 times as many, it gets really tough. Twice as many is tough enough for me to swallow, but you know, those numbers were set a long time before anybody ever knew about COVID virus. So, and they were set for reasons at that time to help control the mass hysteria.
Correct. We understand that, but this is also our 4th year, and we've never had a problem before. So
you've also never had 30 vendors before.
So yes, we have. We've had over 30 vendors.
Then you've done that completely illegally. Because we've never once approved 30 vendors.
So, Angie,
okay.
Would you, is 16 appropriate? Like, is Mayor Goodwin, I think, is that the comfortable number?
Well, that's doubling their size.
It is, yeah.
That's doubling the city's normal size.
Right.
And then, so you're setting a precedent now that, Mr. Smith from behind McKellen's comes out here and wants to double his size. You know, he's gonna go from 10 to 20, not 10 to 30 or 10 to 40.
And 8 is the number, before COVID, all that, it was 8 before the dimensions of.
Right. They're allowed 8 by virtue of the lot of their 3 lots, and that's a generous interpretation on the part of the city, because it's 3 lots together, and we don't count the washout, even though the washout's full of a building. So 8 is what they're entitled to.
So we've been back and forth with the city for the last 4 years at how many we were allowed as far as the mobile vendor ordinance. So at first it was 25 vendors. They have now cut that back every year as to how many. And last year, before our market opened, we were told we were officially considered 2 lots and that we were allowed up to 4 vendors.
I think, you know, there's sometimes less is more, and I think you're getting to that point because I don't believe Mr. Pope would have changed his interpretation, and he would have been the person you dealt with over the last 4 years. You know, he has just become the administrator shortly, not just, he hasn't been here a year yet, what, 6 months or something? So.
It was the interpretation of the mobile vendor and how many lots the actual washout property was considered.
He's telling you the actual washout property is 3 lots, and 1 lot's full of a building, so you can't set your tents up in the building. He's giving you the same interpretation he's given you for the last 4 years, is what I'm hearing. Is what I'm hearing from Mr. Pope. So.
And I'm just going to provide a suggestion. if you want to double technically to 16 and manage the vending, such as, it's a suggestion, every other week you have different vendors, to be fair to, if you're saying you have 30 to 50, it's a suggestion, that what I'm hearing is 16 seems to be reasonable, and then you would manage your vending capacity and take a look at it. It's a suggestion.
So I hear a motion on the number, since there was not a request for number. You got it? Anybody?
I'll make a motion for 16.
Do I have
But-
to second it?
Yeah.
Second.
So the motion before us now is to allow them to have a variance up to 16, up to including 16. That's what you're getting ready to vote on. Okay?
I think we should also say they have to be socially distant. You can't throw 16 in, there still has to be 10 feet between
Okay.
the same rules we had last time,
Well,
until the emergency orders.
say while our emergency order is in place, that's in effect.
The same.
So that's not what your emergency order states. So if you want to be 10 feet, then we need to have that as a rule, or we need to go back to what your emergency order states. We can't guess what you want us to do.
So I guess my question is, if we approve 16, but you can't meet the COVID
Okay.
things, then that will fail. But
That's okay.
if you can do 16 and COVID's, what number can you do and have appropriate COVID spacing during our emergency order?
For your emergency order, we could host 20 vendors
Okay, Mr. Farr.
with your current spacing and the current emergency order. We can, with the spacing, host 20 vendors. And that's what we've been doing, and that's what we followed all of last year.
All right, I'm gonna call the question right now because I think we've gone far enough. Mr. Pope,
I like it.
Mr. Riddick,
Yes. That's 16, right? Yes.
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Dr. Houghton,
I just want to be clear, with COVID, 16 with COVID in that whole sentence. Am I clear?
16 for right now.
Okay, 16, yes.
Mr. Broom,
Yes.
Mr. Farley. Yes. Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
no.
Passes.
You got 16 spaces, and you better have them spaced out so you can look good before you come back again. Okay?
So we can come back after COVID and ask for more than 16?
Oh my God.
Is that what I'm hearing?
I would,
That's not what I said. I said manage well before you try to come back again. It might not be till next year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
I mean, you've gone all the way through December 22nd on
Jeez.
your request.
Kept digging.
So we're gonna skip the next section. We're gonna go right to ordinance 3-21.
I got a question. Who's that?
Huh?
Who's that?
Oh, excuse me, I forgot. Sharing Hope. Sharing Hope. She wants to talk for a second about Sharing Hope, which is a resolution here about organ donation.
Okay.
She went on your list of mine.
Person.
I'm glad you said that. Somebody still said it. I didn't look up. Okay.
Just hanging out.
There you go. There you go. No, you can't have it. I'm sorry.
Thank you so much for having me, and I promise I won't take up too much time. I just wanted to
Give me your name, please.
Sure, absolutely. My name is Christine Neal, and I'm the Director of Communications with We Are Sharing Hope, South Carolina.
Thank you.
And we just wanted to ask the city to recognize April as National Donate Life Month. We are working on a campaign around the state called We Are Lighting South Carolina Blue and Green in recognition of National Donate Life Month, and working with our local cities and councils to issue proclamations and to recognize that April is an opportunity for us to elevate the donation conversation, encourage people to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors, and to honor the heroes who have said yes to donation and saved lives. Here in South Carolina, last year in 2020, despite all things COVID, we were able to honor the legacies of 214 South Carolina donor heroes who saved the lives of 514 people across the country. So there's amazing work being done in South Carolina on behalf of donation, and we're excited to engage all of our local communities as we elevate that conversation and celebrate National Donate Life Month. And we are actually hosting a COVID-safe virtual race at Folly Beach County Park on April 17th. So we're really excited to be working with you in that capacity as well.
I got one question for you, this has nothing to do with the resolution, but for organ donors, I read, and I can't remember, do they call it a walk of honor or walk of, was it
Yep.
walk of honor?
Yep, an honor walk.
Yeah, where they actually take a person that's an organ donor and they like make an announcement and all the doctors and nurses come line the hallway as they
Yes.
do the donation. It was kind of chilling to watch, moving to watch that. To know that
Absolutely.
my driver's license says that one day I might, if anybody wants whatever's left over and stuff, they might do that for me.
Absolutely, and those are amazing tributes to our donor heroes. There's something that South Carolina hospitals have been doing for the last few years. So every opportunity that we have to honor our heroes, we're incredibly proud and humbled to do. And working with our local hospitals, that's been something that we've been able to do a lot actually in the last few years. So yes, and some of them post them on Facebook, and it is a beautiful tribute to our heroes. So I'm so glad that you had the opportunity to see one of those.
All right, thank you, Bam. Appreciate it. We'll get to you shortly, hopefully.
Okay.
Not too long. All right, back to ordinance 3-21, ordinance amending chapter, this is second reading, chapter 151, beach preservation and construction provisions. Folly Beach Code of Ordinances 151.23. Construction standards for bulkheads, seawalls, and revetments by amending the standards for seawalls and bulkheads to allow berms as an erosion control device within the critical line setback. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Ms. Pope?
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Grooms?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yes.
Pat?
Ordinance 5-21, an ordinance amending chapter 165 dimensional standards for the Folly Beach Code of Ordinances, section 16502, measurements and exceptions by clarifying the definition of high ground and lot area to include those portions of a lot landward of the OCRM baseline or outside of an OCRM critical area. And this is the second reading. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? You ready?
Sure.
Okay.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Grooms?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yes. Thank you. 6-21, second reading. Ordinance amending chapter 134, offenses against public welfare, Folly Beach Code of Ordinances by creating subsection face covering, section 134.100, 134.102, requiring that face covering or mask be worn in public in the city of Folly Beach for the duration of the state of emergency issued by the state of South Carolina. I have a motion for approval.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Go ahead.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Mr. Grooms?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yes. Ordinance 7-21, second reading, an ordinance amending chapter 151 beach preservation and construction provisions, Folly Beach Code of Ordinances by creating section 151.15, no smoking on the beach at beach accesses to reduce the primary source of litter on the beachfront. Motion for approval?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I make a motion, we remand to planning for a public hearing in March, and to come back to us in April.
Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Discussion?
This gives, we can't have public hearings now with our emergency ordinances, so this gives planning commission a chance to have a distanced public hearing, talk about any tweaks at their April meeting and get it back to us for next month. This is in the middle of what everybody's been talking about. It puts another purview, puts another committee over it. You know, we're torn and we don't have public input at our meetings. So this is a way to get more public input, another set of eyes on it, and make sure we have it right before it gets in effect.
So it comes back to us in April.
We spoke about it earlier. They could have a public hearing at the end of March, and it would still give them time. Their first meeting is before ours, the planning commission. So if they want to make any tweaks or just put their recommendations together, it would come back to us next month. So it'd be a quick turnaround. It wouldn't be multiple months or anything like that.
Any other discussion? It's up to you. This is on the motion to remand the planning.
Mr. Barker,
No.
Mr. Farley,
No.
Mr. Groom,
No.
Dr. Houghton,
Yes.
Ms. Ray,
No.
Mr. Rich,
No. Wrong one.
Mayor Goodwin.
Is it no or yes?
It's a yes, but it doesn't matter anyway.
It doesn't matter, so, okay.
Mayor Goodwin,
I vote
Well.
yes.
motion fails.
So it goes back to the original motion for the original ordinance, not amended. Okay? Any other questions or discussion on that? It's up to you.
Mr. Rich,
No.
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Dr. Houghton,
No.
Mr. Groom,
Yes.
Mr. Farley,
Yes.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
No. Yeah.
It passes.
Ms. Watkins, you let me slip tonight. Do we have any citizen comments? I'm sorry, I missed that. Elise just said that, it just dawned on me, I missed it. None tonight? Okay, thank you. With that, we'll move on into new business. Emergency ordinance 11-20. Emergency ordinance extending provisions related to emergency measures for the city operations and requiring that face coverings or masks be worn in public in the city of Folly Beach per ordinance 6-21. Have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Groom,
Yes.
Dr. Houghton,
Yes.
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Rich,
Yes.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Mr. Farley,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
Yes, and that was the 7th Amendment, if anybody's counting. Ordinance 9-21, ordinance amending first reading of ordinance amending chapter 118, commercial activity on public property, section 118.03, commercial activity on public beach, by clarifying the deadline to receive all franchise fee payments. First reading, have a motion for approval.
So moved.
And second.
Second.
So this just sets up in writing exactly when payments are due. And that's the only thing that changed in this whole thing. Any questions or discussion? It's up to you.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Mr. Groom,
Yes.
Dr. Houghton,
Yes.
Mr. Farley,
Yes.
Mr. Rich,
Yes.
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
Yes. Ordinance 10-21, ordinance amending chapter 152, flood damage prevention of the Folly Beach Code of Ordinances by increasing the freeboard from 2 feet to 4 feet and regulating shaded X and Z zones due to the change in the flood insurance rate maps and overall drop in base flood elevations to the city of Folly Beach. Have a motion to remand the planning.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. It's gone to planning. You wanna make an opinion?
This is looking, we can't
Ordinance 11-21, an ordinance amending chapters 161 definitions, 162 administration, 163 zoning districts, 164 use standards, 165 dimensional standards, and 166 development standards of the Folly Beach Code of Ordinances by changing the reference point of the max height requirement from the base flood elevation to the top of the first living floor surface due to the change of flood insurance rate maps and overall drop in base flood elevations throughout the city of Folly Beach. Do you have a motion to remand the planning? So moved. Do you have a second?
Second.
Ordinance 12-21, ordinance amending the zoning map of the city of Folly Beach to show TMS 328-14-00-057, also known as 204 East Ashley, to downtown commercial for residential 2-family. You have a motion to remand this to planning. This is what Ms. Faith talked about earlier.
So moved.
So, motion in a second?
Second.
Okay. Ordinance 13-21. Ordinance rezoning TMS 328-14-00-057, also known as 204 East Ashley, to downtown commercial for residential. Same one.
One is for the map. and
One is for the map, this one is for the, yeah, okay. Two-family residence. Remain the planning?
Second.
Okay, good. Resolution 9-21, a resolution by the City of Folly Beach City Council proclaiming April to be National Donate Life Month in support of Sharing Hope, South Carolina.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
You're just waiting for that last word to come out of his mouth first.
Get it done on your driver's license. Donate.
Yeah, get it on your driver.
Get it on your driver's license.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Mr. Grooms?
Absolutely, yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, it's on my license.
You already have my heart.
Or hold it, baby.
I don't know if I want my liver.
It's on my license too, it's a joke, because everything's wore out.
You might want to.
Resolution 10-21, a resolution by the Folly Beach City Council renewing the water contract with the Charleston Water System. Have a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Only question I have is, do we know is the rate, are they jacking up the rates on us, or?
You never know.
That's all.
It's like the only, huh?
Same rate.
It's the same rate today, but it might not be the same rate. Yeah.
Right, that's,
It's like the only game in town, so.
yeah, I know, we're tied.
Okay.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Grooms?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yes.
Passes.
Resolution 11-21, a resolution awarding $1,000 to the family to Folly Beach Civic Club for the second annual Folly Fam Camp by recommendation of the Community Promotions Committee. Do you have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
This is gonna be a strange fam camp this time with virtual stuff and backyard camping and who knows what's gonna happen.
Strange but true.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
All right, Mr. Grooms?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yes.
Passes.
So we have to council comments. I'll start with Mr. Barker.
Thank you. I have two this evening. First of which is, wish to extend my gratitude to staff, Katie, Aaron, and Eric for their assistance in developing ordinance 03-21, allowing berms to be placed within the critical line setback as an alternative to hardened structures, namely bulkheads. This is a major win for those members of our community who live adjacent to the marsh, river, or ocean. So stay tuned. I think we'll certainly need to do more in time from a resilience perspective, have as many arrows in our quiver as we can. The second item, you find So I have heard from a number of citizens. We actually had, as part of a earlier planning commission work session, representatives from Dominion Energy here speaking on behalf of themselves, as well as Lewis Tree Service with regard to the pruning that's happening island-wide. There is a number that you can call to speak with a contact at Dominion Energy South Carolina Customer Service. That number is 1-800-251-7234 if you would like to request a service order and have a forester come out to discuss your particular site. And if for any reason that work is done and you feel as though that tree has been damaged in a way that it is likely to succumb within a short period of time, that could even be a year or two, take a picture, because you can submit that to them, and they did say to us they would come back out and take that tree to its stump at their expense, not yours.
I'd like to really a sincere thank you to Parks and Rec Committee and Public Works for finishing up some of the city park items. It really looks nice, and with the green grass coming up, the seats surrounding everything, the picnic tables. There were more bolts on that picnic table you could ever imagine. And they had to dig, I don't know, this deep to cushion some of the new exercise equipment, which is great. Encourage everybody to work out and be healthy within the community. Also, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Easter coming up. Be safe with your family. And today, of all days, is International Day of Awesomeness. So whatever you do, be awesome. If not today, every day. There you have it. That's all I got.
I'm good.
Ms. Ray?
I just want to say that I appreciate the support in this room and beyond on our smoke-free beach ordinance. But mostly I appreciate those who do not support this ordinance. This opposition has sparked many great conversations, I think, and it's added to the enthusiasm and interest in a cleaner beach and a cleaner island. So I'm hopeful that, our municipal efforts combined with citizen efforts, that we will, all enjoy the benefits of a cleaner beach. Thank you. Have a great night.
Dr. Howell?
I have a few little snippets. First of all, I want to say amazing fan camp. Civic Club, businesses, city, county parks. Talk about a partnership. So that's been amazing. Next, Women's History Month. I'm going to connect that to being on the judges selection committee. But that was like so amazing. We just finished this afternoon. So I really want to let you know that that taught me so many things. So what does that make me think? That makes me think of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Women's History. Two little snippets, which connects to dissent and hard work and working together. Fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. And that is what this past process has been and meant to me between, some of the process that we've gone through. And last but not least, I would like to be remembered, she said, as someone who used whatever talent she had to do her work to do the best of her ability. And I can honestly say, from all of the work that I've seen since being a council person, that's what we do. So I'm grateful.
Mr. Foley?
I got a message from Dave Miller, who related that the director of the Low Country, South Carolina American Red Cross sends their thank you to Folly for the support of the blood drives. The last blood drive was 46 pints, and since June of 2017, Folly has donated 630 pints of blood. So,
A lot of lives.
really good job. Speaks a lot for the community. That's all.
I just want to make one comment. Y'all talk about dissension or agreeing and not agreeing. That's what the whole council's about, guys. Everybody understands that here, I hope. Is to agree to disagree sometimes. Sometimes we only agree to agree all the time, but it's never we always agree to agree all the time. And be able to get through it in a civil manner is what it's all about. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.